All right, confidence intervals. Here's what confidence intervals tell us. If we're given a sample, okay, so we're taking a sample of something. That's what confidence intervals have to do with. But it tells us we are blank percent confident that our population mean lies in this range. Okay? That's very important. I'm going to ask you that question over and over and over again. So if we're looking at the 80% confidence interval, we're talking about we are 80% confident that our population mean lies in this range. As our confidence level goes up, confidence interval increases, our range increases. Okay? That only makes sense. As we go up in our confidence interval, our range is going to increase. As our confidence interval decreases, our range also decreases. Okay, so if we are 80% confident, then my range is going to decrease with that as well. All right, so here's our formula. It's going to be margin of error plus or minus the mean. All right, so now you're saying, what in the world is margin of error? Well, margin of error is Z star, which I'm about to give you a table for, times the standard deviation divided by the square root of n, where n is our sample size. Okay, and that's standard deviation, of course, and then Z star. So here's a table that you need to know. I know I'm giving you a lot of things up front. However, once you have all these things, you should be able to rock and roll. So we're going to do our confidence interval here and our Z star values here. So if we have an 80% confidence interval, our Z star value is going to be 1.28. 85%, 1.44. 90%, 1.65. 95%, 1.96. And 99% confidence interval, 2.58. Okay, so pause the video, make sure you get all those values down, and then we're going to do a practice problem. All right, hopefully you have all that down. If not, rewind. Now, practice problem. So let's say that we have a sample size of 120 things. So n is going to be 120. And let's say that our mean for this particular data set is going to be 52, standard deviation 13. Okay, all of that is obviously going to be embedded within a word problem, but I'm just going to give you all the pieces right now. So let's say that we want to find the 90% confidence interval. So the first thing that we find is the margin of error. And margin of error is going to equal Z star. So our Z star of 90% is 1.65 times standard deviation, which in our case is 13, divided by the square root of 120. Now, one important thing to know. This formula only works if the sample size is larger than 30. However, there might be a problem that you run across if the sample size is less than 30. For this class, just go ahead and do this. Know if you take higher level statistics courses that as the sample size changes, you're going to have to use a different formula. So if your sample size is smaller than 30, all right? All right, so make sure you're using the right set of parentheses or just type in the top piece first, whichever you want to do. But calculate your margin of error. And we found our margin of error to be 1.96. Okay, so 1.96 is our margin of error. Now our confidence interval, x bar plus or minus the margin of error. So when we set this thing up, it is 52 plus or minus 1.96. All right, so we do two different problems from this. 52 minus 1.96 and 52 plus 1.96. Okay, two different problems, same type thing. Okay, so our lower end is going to be 50.04. Our upper end is going to be 53.96. So we have our solution. Now we need to write our answer. We are 90% confident that our population mean lies between 50.04 and 53.96. That is our solution, okay? So for this data set, for this sample of whatever we were looking at, we calculated everything and then we write the sentence, we are 90% confident that our population mean lies between 50.04 and 53.96. Now, if we would have changed our confidence interval to 99%, this range would have decreased. Change this confidence interval to 99%, then our confidence interval would have increased. Change it to 80%, confidence interval decreases. Okay, so go back to your worksheet, try some of these problems, and let me know if you have any questions, but confidence intervals should be relatively simple, okay?